Special guest.
Thank you. Oh, let's keep the chair warm again. Hello. Welcome. In today's programme, ex-culture clubber Boy George, who's given up the wildlife, but not the wild cries, to be a record label boss. He'll be introducing us to his latest musical find, Jagdeep. Ex-Beirut hostage Jackie Mann and his wife Sonny have put pens to paper to give us the first book from one of the hostages. And funny girl Belinda Lang, the perfect mother in the perfect nuclear family, 2.4 children, will be telling us about being marooned on a Thames backwater. All will be revealed later. But first, in the early 80s, there was a young man who lived in London whose desperate ambition was to be famous. Within 4 years, he'd sold 10 million albums and had 8 top 10 singles and was famous all over the world. But then it all went wrong. Sex and drugs and rock and roll were a lethal cocktail. But we're not going to dwell on that because these days, he's running his own record label and finding new talent. Please welcome Boy George.
The sex bit from?
No, well, we've all led a sheltered life,
Sex?
really.
There's no sex in my life at all.
There isn't much of this time of day. Now then, I was going to say, you know, you've changed your image and that.
I remembered your first question.
You have really. Where are the hats and where's the glittery clothing? And it's still image still important.
Well, you know, on and off. I get days when I want to walk around looking like a builder, and other days when I want to dress up. You know, it's. I mean, it's not as much of an obsession as it was when I started Culture Club. You know, obviously I used to go everywhere. You know, dressed up. I used to cycle on my bike dressed up, like around the streets and stuff. I never wanted anyone to see me looking normal. Now I do sort of like walk about, go on the tube and the bus.
Why was it important then? I mean, was it just stating the fact that you thought it was important to look good or to dress up or for your spirits or just for notoriety?
I think I just look so ugly without makeup. You know, and you have all these photos done and you look so perfect and then people see you in the street and they're quite appalled. Or it actually really look like, because makeup does cover up a lot of blemishes.
Who were your heroes?
My heroes, people like Bowie, Mark Bolan, lots of people, film stars, Liz Taylor I love, Bette Davis.
I had a terrible interview with her once. She walked out, it was quite frightening.
I mean, that's what you expect from Bette Davis.
It is, I wasn't disappointed. What made you decide that you wanted not just to be a part of the look, though, but a part of the music as well? No, not just an exhibitionist, but the music bit.
Well, music's always been very important to me, you know. And when I was at school, I was one of those kids that didn't really listen, you know. I didn't really like the way that I was taught at school, you know. I think if I'd have had someone private tutoring me, you know, some sort of kindly-faced appled lady or something, then that would have been great. But because I've always had a problem with authority, whether at home and at school. So it didn't work for me. I think I went into school with a bad attitude and I didn't want to learn. And all I cared about was music. I used to spend all day learning the lyrics to my favourite pop songs, and that was all I was interested in. I wasn't interested in anything else.
You were desperate
Desperate,
for fame.
I wouldn't describe myself as desperate. But
for fame. You got it. And arguably, it at that stage, later on, slightly later, ruined your life. You fought your way back
No,
from
that's
it.
not true, because, in fact, all the things that have happened to me in my life have really enriched my life. Even the difficult times, they've actually made me a better person. And I do think that, you know, these things happen for a reason. They're meant to happen. I think they, you know, life is a series of lessons, and the trick is to learn from them. You know, when things happen to you, is to actually start to look at your life, look at what you're doing wrong, and try and improve.
Do you not feel better when you feel that you're in control of that fate, to a degree, though?
I think, you know, the kind of life that I lead, it's very difficult to feel in control. But I think I feel more in control now than I did when I was 21. I mean, obviously, you know, I came from, you know, a sort of working class family. I never had any money, so I think when I got a lot of money, I kind of went mad. As you would. I think anyone in this audience would go mad too, you know, you just go mad. Because you don't really have any practice, do you know what I mean? You just, whoopee, you know,
what
checkbook. You know, those things.
You're also brought up a Roman Catholic. You're now a Buddhist, which is one heck of a leap. What do you get from Buddhism that you didn't get from Roman Catholicism?
Well, my parents weren't strict Catholics. I mean, well, Roman Catholics, everybody says they were, but they weren't really. I mean, my parents do sort of believe in God, but they're not, you know, churchgoers. They have a faith. For me, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm not into Christianity, because I think Jesus is really cool, you know. I just think the way that, you know, other people interpret what he said is often very wrong, you know. I think that really what I'm interested in is kind of what God could be. And I think that, you know, despite, you know, whatever religion you belong to, I think your vision of God is totally personal. And, you know, even if you belong to a religious organisation and you believe in certain doctrines, in your private moments, I think you have your very own idea of what God is.
Are you conscious of the fact that the way you act influences other people, particularly in the public eye? So in a way, that responsibility is carried a stage further, isn't it, in that people are perhaps emulating you?
Well, I think that, you know, people emulate certain parts of yourself. I mean, somebody buys a Cliff Richard record, they're not going to become a Christian, are they? You know, I mean, it doesn't...
They're just going to enjoy the music.
Yeah. Well, or maybe not.
Well, look, you've made this again another quantum leap from being a Main Street performer to having your own record, to having your own record label. Now, I actually have to interview him next. I did him a few weeks ago. To having your own record label. It's a good egg, Cliff. You got your own record label. What made you want to do that?
It was something that just happened. It wasn't something that I sat down one morning and said, right, I'm going to become, you know. I just met various people that I thought were great talents, and I had a way of getting them connected with the record company, and I just decided to start the label. Most of the things that I've done in my life have been accidents. I'm not a planner. I'm not a scheduled person. Things just happen.
You're a fatalist.
Yeah, and this has just happened, and I'm really enjoying it.
What sort of people do you spot? I mean, what kind of talent do you look for? Is it different to other record labels?
It really comes to you. I mean, it's like, I don't want to come over like I'm Huey Green, you know. I mean, you know, the talent is there.
Oh, you're slightly different to Huey Green.
The talent is already there, and you just pick up on it. I don't think you know, people say you discover people. You don't discover people. They're already talented, and you just, you know, in a way feed off that. You know?
Would somebody else not have discovered them if you hadn't?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They wouldn't have had such a nice hat, though.
Does this mean that you, as the performer, are slightly taking a back seat?
No, not at all. It's... I still make music, but it's slower. You know, I'm not on a schedule. I'm not, you know, the hamster on the treadmill. You know, I'm not following up a massive hit, so I have time to do things the way I want to do them. And this is good because, you know, it means that I'm working in music, which I love, you know.
Do you still have that same sort of raw passion and hunger for it that you did in the early days? Music still gives you that kind of...
Oh, yeah,
lift?
music, definitely, for music. I mean, for the business, no, but for music itself, yeah, I have a lot of passion for that.
How does it, the way you handle it now then differ from the way you handled it originally? Giving advice, for instance, to new folk up and coming in it now, I mean, how could you...
You're wasting your time. People, it's like a parent saying to a child, don't go out with him, don't go out with her, you know, he's bad news. You just do it anyway. I think the problem with, you know, giving people advice is that you take a parental role and they just ignore you because, you know, all artists are full of passion and you can never be as precious about what they do as they can, even if you make music yourself. So a lot of what you say falls on deaf ears. You know, they just do it anyway. And you just have to be around to kind of help them not make too many mistakes, but you can't make people do what you want them to do. They have to do what they want to do.
Now, we're about to hear a track from one of your label signees, Jagdeep. Tell us about him and tell us about it.
Well, Jagdeep is the first Indian soul singer, and he's a great singer. And that's why we signed him.
And what's the song?
And the song is called Who's Gonna Love You.
Right, let's hear it and make up our minds too. Jagdeep and Who's Gonna Love You?
Who's gonna love you, baby? Who's gonna love you? It's safe to say that I can live without your love. The fool who gets you better make sure that it's stronger than the walls you build around you. that's on my mind. I've got to know who's gonna love you, baby. Who's got the time? Who's gonna love you, babe? I've got to be there. Who's gonna love you, baby? Who's got the time? Who's gonna love you, babe? I've got to be there. Who's gonna love you, baby? Who's got the time? Who's gonna love you, baby? I've got to be there. Who's gonna love you, baby? Who's got the time? Who's gonna love you, baby? I've got to be there.
Pretend you don't know me.
Could you believe your luck when you were signed up by this champion's label?
Yeah, yeah, I could.
Because you deserved it. Well, he definitely thinks you did. He's been singing along to that number all the time.
Yeah, because he wrote it, that's right.
He wrote it.
I hope right, I hope right.
Is he a good boss?
Yeah, definitely. He's really easy to work with. Yeah, not pressurizing at all.
He doesn't pressurise you.
Not yet.
Not yet.
When it comes to having somebody on your label, what do you expect of them in terms of their performance and the way they carry themselves?
Well, I don't tell people how to perform, but what I think is important, and I don't expect anything from them, what I think is important is that the person has drive and wants to do it, because, I mean, there are a lot of people in this business who haven't got fantastic voices, but their drive is what carries them through, you know, and you have to respect that, even if you don't sort of like the way they sing. You know, I mean, it's not necessary for all pop stars to have a great voice, you know, I mean, Jagdeep's lucky, he's got a great voice. But, you know, the most important thing is to actually want to do it, and the drive and the passion.
What sort of things does he do then when you're recording? I mean, what sort of hints do you get?
Well, no.
Sounds to me as though it's pretty useless, actually, as a record boss.
we have sat down and tried to write together, and we just bounce off, you know, ideas and stuff. But we haven't done too much writing, but we will be.
You'll be doing a bit more. Now, we talked earlier on about image, about your image, and what about your protege's image there?
It's not my protege, and, you know, I don't tell people what to wear.
Does he talk about appearance? He's not going to give anything away, but what he
No,
says
not
to
really.
you.
No, I just had this made a few days ago, actually. I just picked it up yesterday. And no, he doesn't say, you know, you should wear this and you should wear that.
Because I did hear tell that he was on the telephone saying something like, no, he's not going to wear the sunglasses, is he? And he, so there's more than...
I was going to.
You were going to. Let them see your eyes, he said. With this new label, it sounds to me as though what you're saying is you're anxious to employ people who are not necessarily just look right for the job, but have got the voices as well. An awful lot of people in the business seem to believe at the moment that, as you say, it is not necessary to have a good voice, provided you're promoted in the right way.
I think that definitely sort of promotion has become much more important than actual sort of bodied talent, you know. I think we're living in an age where things are very fast and everything's very throwaway. And the idea that I had for this label was to actually sign people that would go beyond one single, you know, people that you could actually try and develop careers with, you know, and sort of not, you know, I mean, a lot of things do come to us. We're offered a lot of tracks that are, you know, could possibly be big hits, but that's not what we want. We want to actually work with people, because I think the essential thing about what we do is the personalities and the people, you know, and I think definitely it's one of the things that's missing from the industry, that there's no character so much anymore. You can get away with a lot. You see, video lies, and you can make very average people look very exciting, and likewise, you can make very exciting people look very average.
Well, whichever category you fall into, I know which I think you fall into. It's nice to have a bit of colour, a bit of glam, a bit of articulateness, and a good man behind some music. Thanks to you, Boy George, and to Jagdeep. Thank you very much. Now for something completely different on